Kingsley Suamataia is my 8th ranked tackle and 51st ranked player overall. I'm recording this right after I recorded the Tyler Guyton video, and there's a lot of similarities between these two prospects, so I'm going to do my best not to repeat myself as much as possible. But Kingsley falls into the athletic project tier of offensive tackles. He's about 6'4.5", 326 pounds, 34.25-inch arms, and he put up pretty good numbers in the combine: 5.04 in the 40, 1.74 10-yard split. The vertical jump wasn't great at 28 inches, but he had a pretty good broad. And heading into this evaluation, I definitely expected more in terms of athletic traits. He's a former top 50 recruit. I think he was a 5-star on some websites, and he was 3rd on Bruce Feldman's Freaks list with some pretty insane reported numbers. They had him running a 4.98 in the 40, 37-inch vertical jump, which was off by 9 inches, 120-inch broad jump, which was off by 10 inches, and BYU said he hit 21.5 miles an hour, and they said he could run in the 4.8s. So heading into his tape, I was expecting an elite athlete, and what I saw was just a good athlete for his size, and that was kind of confirmed at the combine. Statistically, he wasn't great last year, especially as a run blocker, and I think the tape backs that up. He had the 5th highest blown run block rate in college football last year, and he had a 52.2 PFF run blocking grade, which ranked 185th out of 200 tackles. He gave up 2 sacks. Both of those came in the Texas game. For the most part, he was able to hold up pretty easily as a pass protector against Big 12 competition. I think there's still some issues and plenty of room for improvement in pass pro, but overall run blocking is my biggest concern with Kingsley. And last year he played all of his snaps at left tackle. In 2022 he played all of his snaps at right tackle, so he does offer some positional versatility there. So for someone that fits into the project tier of offensive tackles, there's actually a lot of stuff that he already does at a high level in pass protection. The first thing is just his natural play strength and his ability to absorb contact and resist power rushers. He pretty much never gave up any ground to a bull rush. Speed to power just died instantly on initial contact. At 326 pounds, he's got the power that you would expect for someone of his size. And then I also saw him use the snatch trap several times against long arms if they would overextend. Now at the college level, he pretty much never had to actually drop his anchor. A lot of times he was able to shut down bull rushes just by being bigger and stronger than the guy he was going up against. We didn't see many examples of him hop stepping, refitting his hands, having to show off that ankle flexion and stuff that he will have to at the NFL. But overall, I don't have many concerns with Kingsley's ability to block power. I think he has adequate pocket range. He looks natural in his kick slide. For the most part, he was able to protect the corner against speed rushes with some room to spare. I saw him lose to the outside against Texas Tech, and there were a couple times against late edge speed. So if it's a delayed blitz or someone looping from the other side, if he undersets or he's late to react, he doesn't have that elite recovery range, and so it wouldn't surprise me if there were actually some teams that viewed him as a guard. When it comes to his hand usage, I think there's a lot to work with. He plays with independent hands. He's comfortable replacing his punch and refitting throughout the rep. There are definitely flashes on specific plays where you can tell he knows what to do with his hands, but overall I think his hand usage is unrefined. He doesn't really have a sharp initial punch. A lot of times he's kind of bear hugging into first contact. He's wide and kind of tentative with his strike. He lets rushers get into his frame, and in the Big 12 that wasn't a major issue because, like I said, he has that natural play strength to anchor against power effortlessly, but his hand placement and strike timing were just too inconsistent snap to snap, and not in the good way where he's like switching up his technique. It's just every snap and every game there's not a whole lot of repeatable motions where you can tell he's got that muscle memory with his punch. His biggest issue by far in pass protection is dealing with inside counters. He's slow to recover inside, doesn't really move his feet into position. Whether it's a spin or a club, he's just consistently late to slide over and seal off the B gap. He has a soft inside hand punch when he's trying to prevent them from working inside, and then his late punch and letting rushers into his frame also gives him more issues with inside counters. A lot of times he'll punch high and let rushers establish contact underneath the inside arm, and then that lets him pry open the B gap and kind of lift him out of the way. He also just gets lost trying to pick up stunts and blitzes. He's probably the worst tackle in this class in terms of stunt awareness that I've evaluated so far. A lot of times the issue is just being late to react. He'll just kind of be out on an island and not make any effort to pick up a twist or put up any resistance. So he's not a finished product as a pass blocker. I do think a lot of his biggest issues are more easily coachable than some other things. He has the play strength, he's got decent movement skills, and he's at a good starting point as far as hand usage. He's got to work on the inside counters, and then the overall awareness just has to improve. But he's barely over 21 years old, so it's a lot easier to sell me on that getting fixed with some better coaching. And then his run blocking tape I thought was kind of a disaster. He has major issues securing reach blocks. The body control and hand placement and flexibility really seem to be lacking. He has the movement skills you would think to succeed in an outside zone scheme, but he's not ready day one. His entire approach and technique needs to be completely reworked. He had a few nice pancakes at the second level on tape. There was one against West Virginia, I think a couple against Oklahoma, and then one on a screen pass against Texas. So he has the straight line speed and the raw power to finish those blocks, especially against stationary targets. Like if you just line up a DB and have him sit still, Kingsley can flatten him down the field. But there are so many more examples of him whiffing in open space, struggling to redirect against moving targets, or just pulling or getting to the second level and having no idea who he's supposed to block. That was the biggest athletic trait that stood out to me as being disappointing relative to my expectations. The change of direction skills and open space flexibility with Kingsley is really lacking to me. Despite how inconsistent he was picking up assignments, I thought he did a really good job of adjusting his blocking angle to pick up slants. So if he's flowing to the right on a reach block, but the defensive tackle slants in the opposite direction, he can kind of throttle down, stick out his backside catch hand, and wash him out of the play so that the running back has a path. So good to see that awareness show up on tape. And then drive blocks and down blocks, he's got the straight line explosiveness and power where he can create some displacement off the line of scrimmage. Again, if it's a stationary target, you will see him clear out space and get some movement, but he frequently leans and overextends into down blocks and lets defenders swim over the top. He's a lot better on a double team where the defensive tackle has two blockers to worry about than he is one-on-one at the point of attack, especially against more talented defenders that knew how to manipulate his body positioning. So I think Kingsley has a lot of natural talent. He's not a complete project in the sense that he has no technique, no idea what he's doing, but his tape was very sloppy, especially in the run game, just consistently falling off of blocks. But in the late second to early third round, I definitely think it's worth taking a shot on him. He's a very young player, and the two best games that I watched were in the final 3 weeks of the season. I thought West Virginia and Oklahoma were his two best tapes, and I think if he can get with some good coaching, he could fit into either tackle spot or potentially be an interesting convert to guard. Thanks for watching. If you enjoy the video, make sure to like and subscribe. Also, let me know in the comments any NFL draft prospects that you'd like me to cover, and if you want to see my full draft board as an interactive filterable table, I've got that up at A to Z sports.com. The link to that is in the description.